Today we're going to talk about 5 businesses that everybody online tells you that you should start. We're going to use a scoreboard and we're going to score them, and I'm going to tell you about the ones that I've actually tried myself and the ones that I've failed at and the ones that I've made a lot of money at. Let's go way back. One Christmas, I sold $30,000 worth of magic kits on Amazon. Literally in my hallway out beside my condo, they were stacked to the ceiling every day, and I had to go ship them to FBA. FBA means Fulfillment by Amazon, and it's something that's bandied around a lot, and it's told to people that you can use this to make a great online business. And you can. But I'll tell you, I ran that business for about a year, putting about $10,000 to $20,000 of my own money into it, and a whole lot of work. At the end of that year, I pretty much broke even. I didn't lose money, but I sure didn't make any either. Now look, I'm gonna talk to you about the test that fails all of these businesses, and you're gonna figure it out before you spend that money. I'm gonna score these businesses on 6 characteristics from this couch. I'm gonna give you the test, the actual scoreboard. That way you can know which one of these might be the best for you. Now here's how the scoring works. Every ranking of an online business that you've ever seen before is sorted by one thing: how much money can you make? And that's really the whole list. Highest ceiling wins. And I think that's the wrong sort. I think there's a reason that people end up putting years and years into something and making a little bit of money, but quietly hating their life. Because there's a version of every one of these businesses where you hit the number and yet you still can't leave. You've got the income and yet you don't have the thing that you started for. So I built a different type of scoreboard. 5 categories, 10 points each, 50 total. And every one of them is the same question wearing a slightly different costume. Does this business own you, or do you own it? Cash speed. How long until real money, and how long and how big is the first check? Number 2, who can turn you off? Does one company hold the switch to your entire business? Number 3, the 30-day test. You vanish for a month, is it even alive when you come back? Number 4, what you keep if it dies. When it goes to 0, what walks out with you? Number 5, your ceiling per hour. Not your revenue, but what an hour of your life is actually worth if you're doing this at the highest levels. 5 businesses that everybody tells you to start, plus mine, scored on all 5 of the metrics. One more thing about the scoring, and it matters. I'm scoring the businesses, not me. Some of these I actually just ran badly, and that was my problem, not theirs. I'll tell you which is which. For anybody new here, my name is Jason, and some people call me Mr. Bangkok. My company buys, wholesales, and rents real estate in the United States while I'm sitting right here 8,000 miles away, which is the only reason that I'm qualified to score anything on that 3rd category. And before we start, the obvious thing, I have a horse in this race. I run a wholesaling business and I teach people how to do it. So, discount me. You should. I have a bias. Here's how you'll catch me lying. Watch me score my own business at the end. If I give myself 50 out of 50, close the video because I'm selling you something. If you want more of this, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments what you're running right now, and I'll score your business. All right, number 1, and it's the loudest one right now, the AI automation agency. You build workflows for local businesses, charge them a monthly retainer, and the AI does the work while you sleep. That's their pitch. It's a good pitch. It's also a SMMA with a new haircut. Same model, same clients, and the same problems. Cash speed score on this one is a 5 out of 10. It's not terrible. You can land a client in weeks if you're good on the phone, but you're selling business to business to owners who are used to sales calls, and you're gonna get a lot of no's. All right, who can turn you off in this business? I'm gonna give that a 4. And this is the one that nobody really wants to hear. Your entire product just a wrapper around someone else's AI model. If one day OpenAI or Anthropic ships your feature as a button, your retainer is now just a rounding error and you get canceled. You don't own the engine, you're renting it monthly from a company that is actually working to make you unnecessary. The 30-day test. Ooh, I'm gonna give this one a 2. Remember that number because 4 of the 6 businesses on this page are about to get murdered by the exact same question. You leave the business for 30 days, a client automation breaks on day 3, and you're fired. It's all you. It's always all you. You're not buying a real business. You just bought a pager. You just bought an alert, a notification, a work 7-day-a-week deal. All right, what you keep if it dies? I'm gonna give that a 7. Highest so far, and that's honest because it's that you're learning to sell, and learning to sell is universal. And I think if everything shut down and you walked away from that business, that would be a real skill. Per hour, like how much can you make? So I'm gonna give that a 6 because good agencies, they end up making 10 to 20, maybe even $30,000 a month, but the hour cost climbs along with the revenue because more clients means more notifications, more work. So all in all, the AI agency, I'm gonna give it a 24 out of 50. All right, this is one you hear a lot about online, affiliate marketing. And I know a little bit about this one because I did this one in the past. In fact, many years ago, I went to a conference in Atlanta. I went like 3 years in a row, and it was all about affiliate marketing. And I actually had a friend who was really big in affiliate marketing and had made hundreds of thousands of dollars. I wrote hundreds of blog posts. I made videos. I promoted a multitude of different things, and I made $0. Not a little bit, not enough to quit my job. I made 0. Cash speed on a business like this, super slow. I'd give it a 3. And look, I want to be really clear about this number because this is where the difference in scoring this business and scoring me matters. 3 is the business score. My score on this was a 0. The model can pay inside a few months if you pick the right thing to promote. I think I picked a lot of the wrong things repeatedly over and over for a long period of time. All right, who can turn you off in this business? I'm gonna give that a 2. 2 people can end you, and neither of them is ever gonna know your name. If Google changes one thing and your traffic is gone on a Tuesday afternoon, you're dead. Or let's say the merchant, they cut their commission rate and the exact same work now pays half. You've built a business on someone else's land and someone else's price. All right, the 30-day test. I'm gonna give it a 7. Highest of anything we've looked at so far. And yes, I'm giving a 7 to a business that I made no money on. And you should sit with how strange that is for a second, because it's true. Once a page ranks, it earns whether you're awake or not. And that's real property. That's an asset. I was just never able to get that to happen. All right, what do you keep out of the business if it dies? I'm gonna give it a 5. You learn to write, and you learn to write copy and text, which is half a skill. Useful, but it doesn't feed you on its own. And I'll give you this. Writing all those blog posts that nobody probably ever read is probably one of the reasons that I can talk on camera today. So it is something that you're going to gain from it if it dies. All right, what's the ceiling per hour on this business? I'm gonna give it a 5. Some people genuinely do well in affiliate marketing. Most cap out at something that looks like a decent side income forever. So 22. And here's the part I still haven't worked out yet. I stopped affiliate marketing because I made no money. That's the entire reason. There's nothing noble about why I quit. But hundreds of posts is a lot of posts, and I don't know if I was bad at it or early or late or if I picked the wrong things that nobody wanted. I only know that I never found out because I left. All right, so that one's a 22 out of 50. All right, let's talk about a very popular one online right now, and that is drop shipping. That's right. Let's go straight through them. Cash speed, I'm gonna give that a 6. It's the best on this entire video so far, and I'll give it that honestly. You can be selling in a week, and you can literally have a sale on day 9. That feeling is real, and it's exactly why this business recruits so well and sells so many programs. All right, next one, who can turn you off? I'm gonna give it a 2. Count the switches that you don't control. Oh my God, the ad account, which can get you banned for no reasons that nobody will ever explain to you. Your supplier, who's a person you've never met in a country you've never been to. The payment processor, who can hold your money and do chargebacks on you. 3 separate strangers can and will end you before lunch. All right, the 30-day test. I'm gonna give it a 3. Ads need daily hands. Creative fatigue, customers' emails. You leave for a month and you come back to a dead ad account and 40 angry people asking where their thing is. That's twice now that the 30-day number has cratered. And by the end of this, that's exactly what we're gonna talk about with one of the businesses that scores super high on it. And it's not my business of wholesaling. All right, what do you keep? So if the business dies, what do you keep? I'm gonna give it a 6. I think that paid media is genuinely a valuable skill if you learn to buy traffic profitably. You can rent that ability to almost anybody, and there's real benefit there. All right? Your ceiling per hour, I'm gonna give it a 4. I think margins are very slim in this business, and unless you do a huge amount of volume, it's very hard to make a lot of profit. So for drop shipping, out of 50, it gets a 21. All right, the next thing we're gonna talk about is Faceless YouTube. Number 4, faceless channels. AI voice, stock footage, upload volumes of these things, collect ad revenue. Nobody has to know who you are, and your library keeps earning for years. All right, let's rate this thing. Cash speed, it's a 2. Worst on this entire video. You have to clear the monetization threshold before you ever see a single dollar, and most channels never get there. And by the way, just about a week ago, YouTube has announced that they're going to change the monetization standards, that you now have to have 1,000 people and 8,000 watch hours. That is double what they said you needed before. And that's all going to go into effect in February of 2027. So if you're starting a faceless channel, then you got to have a lot of watch hours in order to ever make your first dollar. It's months and months of full-time work for $0. And 0 isn't even the worst case here. It's actually just the most common one. All right, who can turn you off? I'm giving this one a 1, and I would give it a 0 if I could. That's the lowest score of any business is gonna get in this category. Your business is one YouTube policy update from everything being demonetized. Not an algorithm change, just a policy change about what kind of content is allowed for monetization. You'll find out about it in an email on a random Friday evening. It's gonna suck. The 30-day test, I'm gonna give this one an 8. That's the highest 30-day score on this entire video. Wholesaling, real estate wholesaling, which is what I do, it scores a 6 on that. And I'll show you why in a few minutes. And I'm not gonna pretend otherwise just to make my own business look better. A library of videos genuinely earns while you're on a plane, on an island, vacationing, sleeping. That's the real thing this business has. And everybody who mocks it, I think they're mocking the wrong part. I know people running these types of businesses right now. One of them makes more genuinely passive income than most of the wholesalers that I know. He also can't tell me what it looks like in 3 years, and neither can I. All right, what do you keep from a faceless YouTube channel business? I'm gonna give that a 4. Prompting, editing, both of which are getting cheaper every single month. I think being able to create videos on YouTube, massive skill that you take with you. Ceiling per hour, I'm gonna give it a 3. Ad revenue per view is what it is, and volume competing against people running for the same exact thing you are can be tough. All right, so Faceless YouTube channel, out of 50, it gets 18. Highest score on the one category that matters the most for freedom. Keep that in mind, but almost 0 on everything else, which is the most interesting result on this entire page, and the reason that I stopped making decisions on these things off a single number. The next one we're gonna talk about is number 5, Amazon FBA. I had that business. I was living in Atlanta, and this was in the early days, before the gurus, before the courses, before everybody's cousin had a private label brand. I was early. I had real wins. That Magic Kit Christmas thing, that was real. $30,000 of Magic Kits that I bought wholesale and shipped into an FBA warehouse. I flew places to build relationships with people who would sell me products. I went to huge auctions, standing room only, bidding for pallets of stuff. I was good at the hustling part. I liked the hustling part. And a year later, I'd made basically what I spent. I didn't really lose money on the business, but I broke even and I spent a whole lot of time on it, which I guess is somehow worse than losing, because losing at least hits you in the gut. This was just kind of like lukewarm water. Cash speed on an Amazon FBA business, 2. And this is the part of the pitch that nobody ever really says clearly. You see, you pay for all the items first, products, shipping, storage, ads, all of it out the door before a single dollar comes back to you. Every other business that we've talked about today costs you time up front, but Amazon FBA costs you money up front. Next category, who can turn you off? I'm gonna rank this a 1. Amazon owns the customer. Amazon owns the reviews. Amazon owns the buy box. Amazon owns your account. You don't really have a business. You have a stall inside someone else's mall. And the landlord also sells your product. The 30-day test, I'm gonna give it a 5. Inventory does sell while you sleep. That's true, till it doesn't. And then you're on a laptop at midnight in the wrong time zone trying to talk to a support system that doesn't have a phone number. What you keep if it dies, I'm gonna give it a 3. That's the number that actually stings for this one. I spent like 18 months getting good at Amazon FBA. Sourcing, product research, keyword tools, their dashboard, their rules. And the day I stopped, it's pretty much all worthless. It was a skill with an expiration date printed on someone else's calendar. The only thing that survived was the auction relationships, and that's because those were people, not software. All right, ceiling per hour, I'm gonna give it a 4. And look, out of 50, Amazon FBA comes in last place, scoring a 15. And I can tell you that because I'm a guy who ran it. Would I do it again? Absolutely not, no, never. And I want to sit on that for just a second, because never is a strong word and I don't use it very often. I was early, I had inventory that nobody else had. I had a $30,000 Christmas. I did everything that you're supposed to do at the time you're supposed to do it, and it still ended at 0. I don't know if that says something about me, something about that business. I only know that I wouldn't do it again. All right, let's talk about real estate wholesaling. The last one, the business that I run, the one that I still do. And I told you at the start to watch whether I'm being honest, so here it is. Cash speed, I'm gonna give it a 7. I did 8 deals my very first month, over 100 my very first year. And I'm still giving it a 7 instead of a 10 because I'd be lying to you if I said to you that everybody could do 8 deals in their very first month. That's just not true. I wasn't normal in that. But could you do 1 deal? Absolutely. The honest version is that I made my first $1 million in real estate wholesaling. Not in Amazon FBA or Faceless YouTube or affiliate marketing. I did it here. Who can turn you off in real estate wholesaling? I'm gonna give this one a 7. I'm not gonna give it a 10, and here's the deduction, because I'd be lying if I said it was a 10. There's no platform like YouTube can't turn me off, but there are state legislatures and lawmakers that have been writing wholesaling bills for years, and some of those in certain states have passed. And that's a switch that I don't control. So it's not a 10, it's a 7. Someone writing a law is slower than an Amazon suspension for sure, and you can definitely see it coming because it's going to be in the news, but it is something that is out of your control. And anybody telling you that it's just a foolproof thing, that it's a 10, they've just never read any of these laws. Beware of those people. All right, the 30-day test, I'm going to give it a 6. It's lower than the Faceless YouTube channel, but I made $1 million in this business and it scores 6 on the one column that I care about the most, all right? And here's the deal. Getting to a 6 cost me more than the first $1 million did. It cost me an entire acquisition sales team that I eventually had to fire. It cost me a lawsuit. It cost me years of being the only person who could actually close a deal. It's a very expensive way to feel important. This business doesn't come built in with freedom. None of these businesses have built-in freedom. You have to build that on top, on purpose, and it takes time. Most people running a real estate wholesaling business, they never accomplish it. They end up just buying themselves a harder job. What you keep if the business dies. Look, I'm gonna give this a 10. The only 10 on this entire video, and the reason is I would still pick this hands down. Everything this business taught me is portable. Talking to a stranger who's having the worst month of their life and being useful to them. Looking at a house and knowing what it's worth. Negotiating. If wholesaling was outlawed tomorrow, I'd walk out with all those skills. Compare that to the ones I gave Amazon. It's not even close. Ceiling for money per hour. I'm gonna give it a 9, not a 10. 10 would be a lie because the top of this game is capped by how many deals your market will give you. All right, out of 50, I'm giving real estate wholesaling a 39. Not a 50, but a 39. So here's the deal. Amazon FBA, 15. Faceless YouTube channels, 18. Drop shipping, 21. Affiliate marketing, 22. AI automation agencies, 24. And real estate wholesaling, 39. Look, this is my opinion. Maybe you feel differently. Look at the gap in those numbers. Tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. I think that every business on that list, except for real estate wholesaling, has somebody's hand on the switch that's not you. You're not in control. And every business on that list, except for real estate wholesaling, leaves you with a few little skills if it gets turned off. So that's the whole video. That's the entire finding. The businesses that are the easiest to start are the ones where you own the least, and that's not a coincidence. Easiest to start doesn't necessarily mean that you're building the hardest part, which means somebody else owns the hard part, which means somebody else owns your business. I call it the ownership trade. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Amazon didn't take my money. I broke even. Amazon took the year and then it took the skills on the way out. One more thing, and I'll leave it alone. If you're 22, no money, no car, no way to get a house, I'm honestly not sure wholesaling is your first move. Although, I can teach you how to wholesale a house with absolutely no money. So maybe you think about it before you dump your money into Amazon FBA or dump your money into affiliate marketing. The cash speed for real estate wholesaling is fast if you work it hard. So run your own board, change my numbers around. Half of you already think that I scored the AI agency too low, and maybe you're right, but run it on those 5 characteristics instead of just income. That's the only part I'll truly defend on this video, because that thing I said at the start, the years in, decent money, but quietly hating it, that isn't what happens when you pick a business with a low ceiling. That's what happens when you pick a business with somebody else's hand on the switch, then spend years pretending that you don't know it. I put the blank scorecard in the description below. It's on a link. So score your own business on that. If you get above 30, tell me what that business is. Write it in the comments below. Please share this video with somebody that is exploring the options of starting one of these businesses, and subscribe if you like this content. I'd love to talk to you and get to know you more and help you in your journey of making money, especially with real estate wholesaling. Have a good one.